You know, it's something most of us do every single day, probably without giving it a second thought. But have you ever really stopped and wondered what's actually going on inside your brain when you read? Well, it turns out it's way more complex than you might think. So let's dive in and decode it.
Because honestly, this simple, quiet act is one of the most intense cognitive workouts we ever do. Think about it. It's this silent, lightning-fast process of decoding symbols, pulling up memories, and literally building meaning from scratch, all in a split second. It's amazing.
And this diagram, wow, it just perfectly captures that complexity. See, reading isn't just about the words on the page, and it's not just about the person holding the book. It's this dynamic intersection of four key things. You, the reader, with all your unique experiences, the text itself, the strategies you use to make sense of it all, and your fluency, how smoothly it all flows. Real, deep comprehension? That happens right there in the middle, where all four of those circles overlap.
So, to put a more formal definition on it, author Neil Anderson, whose work we're exploring today, defines it just like this. And I want you to notice those key words. It's a fluent process. It's about combining info from the page with your own knowledge, all to build meaning. Meaning isn't just sitting there waiting to be found. We are actively constructing it every time we read.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start by really nailing down what reading is. Then, we'll get into this fascinating historical debate that completely shaped how reading is taught. After that, we'll look at the modern view, break down 7 key principles, and finally, tie it all together with a super practical framework called active.
So for decades, the world of education was pretty much split down the middle over one huge question. What is the right way to teach someone how to read? And this wasn't just some small academic disagreement. No, this was a full-on philosophical war between two totally opposite camps.
Okay, so on one side, you've got the bottom-up model. The best way to think about this is like building with Legos. You start with the tiniest little pieces, the letters and their sounds, which is what we call phonics. You learn how to snap those pieces together to make words, then sentences, and eventually meaning starts to take shape. Then, on the complete other side, you have the top-down model. This is like looking at the picture on the Lego box first. You use your background knowledge and the context to guess what it's all about, and then you use the actual words on the page to sort of confirm your predictions.
So here's what that looks like visually. The bottom-up approach starts at the very bottom, right, with the individual letters, and it builds its way up to comprehension. The top-down model, on the other hand, starts with the reader's big picture knowledge and works its way down to the text to figure out what it means. For a very long time, you basically had to pick a team.
But here's the thing. As researchers started really studying what proficient, skilled readers do, they realized something huge. The whole debate, it was based on a false choice. It turns out, great readers don't pick a side at all.
What if it wasn't a choice between one or the other? What if the best readers were actually doing both at the exact same time? And that brings us to the interactive model, which is pretty much the accepted view today. It shows that reading is this constant, energetic dance between bottom-up decoding and top-down predicting. We're using the letters on the page to build up meaning, while at the same time we're using our background knowledge to make sense of what those letters are telling us. The most efficient readers are simply masters at doing both simultaneously.
Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this actually mean for, say, a teacher in a classroom, or even for you just trying to become a better reader? Well, Anderson lays out 7 core principles that turn all this theory into real-world practice.
First up, and this one is a biggie, tap into the reader's prior knowledge. You have to consciously connect what's in the text to what a person already knows from their own life. It makes a massive difference in comprehension. But there is a little warning here. If that background knowledge is wrong, it can actually lead you astray. Second, vocabulary is everything. It's really that simple. You can't understand a text if you don't know what the words mean, so building a strong vocabulary is absolutely essential.
Now, principle 3, this one is a total game changer. We have to stop just testing students on their comprehension after they read and start actively teaching them how to comprehend. It's about modeling how to think about a text while you're in the middle of it. Then, for principle 4, we've got to work on fluency. The goal isn't just to be accurate, it's to be efficient, to read smoothly, with expression, and of course, with understanding. And just to be clear, fluency isn't some fuzzy concept like reading fast. Anderson gives us a really concrete target to shoot for, reading at about 200 words per minute with at least 70% comprehension. It's that perfect balance of speed and actual understanding.
Okay, Principle 5 really pushes back on this old idea that people just, magically become good readers. Nope, we have to explicitly teach them strategies, things like how to predict what's coming next or summarize what you just read. And that leads perfectly into Principle number 6, which is the ultimate endgame. Practice those conscious strategies so much that they become automatic, unconscious skills.
And this, right here, this is such a critical distinction. A strategy is something you do on purpose. It's a conscious choice. When you stop and think, based on the other words here, I think this word means, that's a strategy. But a skill is when that strategy becomes so automatic, you don't even know you're doing it. The whole goal of reading instruction is to turn those effortful strategies into effortless skills.
And to wrap up the principles, we have number 7. Assessment and evaluation have to be woven into the very fabric of teaching. And we're not just talking about grades on a report card. This is about using things like reading journals and quick comprehension checks along the way to see what's working and where a reader might need a little more help.
Okay, 7 principles. That's a lot to remember, right? So how do you actually put it all together in a way that makes sense? Well, Anderson gives us this awesome, easy-to-remember framework using the acronym ACTIVE.
This is just a brilliant way to structure a lesson. It's a whole cycle. Before reading, you activate prior knowledge and you cultivate vocabulary. During the reading, you teach for comprehension and you work to increase the reading rate. And then after reading, you verify the strategies that were used and you evaluate the progress. It covers all the bases.
But even with all these amazing models and frameworks, Anderson makes a point that's just so important. Above all else, the single most critical factor is the quality of the individual teacher. A passionate, smart teacher who knows how to guide this whole process, they are the real key to success.
So that brings us to one last question, and this one's for you. The next time you pick something up to read, just pay attention to what's happening in your own head. When you hit a tricky part or a word you don't know, what's your next move? Is it a conscious, deliberate choice, a strategy? Or is it an instant, effortless reaction, a skill? Just thinking about that difference is a huge step toward becoming an even better reader.